Alright, so if you're unlucky enough to find yourself in a police cell, I've got a bit of insight and tips for how to maybe deal with it, and not only deal with it, but how to maybe walk out of that police station. So not over the last 10 years, over the 10 years that I was involved in crime and things, I was caught lots of times. I ended up being arrested lots of times. The police would always be taking me down to the cells and interviewing me for something. So I've had lots of interviews. I started off obviously not being not being great at them. I'd always end up trying to fight my corner and getting myself into even more trouble. The best thing you can do is just shut up and not say anything at all. But yeah, so yeah, police interviews. Here's my insight and how to probably best deal with them. Okay, so the little setup in the interview room is exactly like you'd see on telly. When you watch 24 Hours in Police Custody, things like that, in the top-down view from the corner. It's a small room with two tables in there in front of you, so you've got room for yourself and your solicitor on one side, and the two members of the police on the other. I always had CID interviewing me. I don't know if it's always CID who do interviews. I don't know, maybe. So yeah, they'd be taking turns, kind of tag team me. The way it works is the guy sat in front of you, or lady sat in front of you, will be the primary, sort of the number one role in the interview, and the other officer will be the one sort of taking notes and then coming at you from those sort of awkward angles. If you've said something and they've realised that you've contradicted yourself, or it's contradictory to the evidence that they've got that they haven't told you about, something like that, they may try and reiterate something just to make you dig a bigger hole for yourself. They're going to try and tie you up in knots and make you go over things over and over, so that they can find the loop or the lie in what you're saying. So the best thing you can do is just not say anything at all. Now, from the minute you come out of the sort of the police cell, they'll take you straight into the interview room, and your solicitor will be in there, and you have a chat with them first. You get sort of 10-15 minutes with them, and they'll let you know what disclosure the police have given them. So what evidence that they have against you, that they've told your solicitor. Now sometimes they don't give any disclosure at all. Sometimes they'll tell you, a big chunk of what they've got. They'll always try and keep something back so they can sort of drop it later on in the interview, as a bit of a bombshell moment. But some of the time they'll tell you a little bit of what they've got and kind of the gist of what they're arresting you for. So you can basically sit there with your solicitor and work out the game plan of how you're going to do it. Now, if you are banged to rights and you have done something, say, for my example, it would be like, if I told my solicitor, like, yeah, I buy and sell cocaine on a large scale, and it looks like they've caught me, how can we best get out of this? How can we best deal with this? Now, the solicitor can't defend you if they know you're guilty. All right, if you've told them you've done it, they're not allowed to stand up and perjure themselves in court. So you can't tell the solicitor that you did it. You have to kind of just give them your story that you want them to portray to to the courts. You can't sit there and say this is what I did. How do we get away with it? They're always going to talk to you on an evidence basis and then a criminal standpoint. So they're not going to be looking to find out. They're never going to ask you the question if you did it either. They're always going to tell you, here's what the police have got, here's what they haven't got, here's what I think is the best course of action. Okay, now obviously some solicitors and solicitors firms are better than others. Some, if you end up with a duty solicitor, the fucking legal aid guy, he's not always going to be very good, or in a position to maybe fight as hard as he can to let you out. So a paid solicitor is always better. Someone that's you're paying out your own pocket. Always going to fight for you more than the old duty solicitor who's just taking on whoever turns up that day. And perversely, some defending solicitors are encouraged by the courts. You get a higher legal aid payment or something if you go guilty at the earliest stage. So yeah, you can when you're doing legal aid and stuff, they can sometimes it incentivises the solicitors to make you go guilty. at the earliest opportunity, which is something you don't want to always do, because you'd be surprised how many court cases kind of drop and fail because the police have lost evidence, or they've procedurally done something wrong. So the best advice I would always give is to go no comment, especially if you're banged to rights and you've done it. Go no comment, and then that way you are waiting for the police to play their cards that they've got. And they can't keep it close to their chest all the time. By the time it goes to courts, they've got to show all the evidence. You'll know everything they've got long before you turn up in a court cell, so you can build your defence accordingly. Now they will take what they call an inference from you giving a no comment interview. Now what I mean by an inference is that the courts will be told, the jury will be told that you had the opportunity to say your side of the story in the police cell and you didn't do it. Now this may be seen as a way of you buying yourself time so you can make up a good story, and all this will be put across to the jury, so they're going to already think that possibly you did it just because you gave a no comment interview. So what I would always do, and what my best advice to people would be, is to wait for the disclosure that you've got from the police, and then build a story around that your solicitor's happy with. They basically write down a statement of what you would like them to say for you, and the solicitor, when the police come into the room, the solicitor reads out your statement and just says, this is William's side of the events. He's not prepared to say anything else at this point, and do your worst, basically. And then you just sit there and you stare at a point on the table. You don't even say no comment. You just sit there and say nothing at all, and then wait for the police to, like I say, play that hand. This is much better than getting tied up, tongue-tied and bent up by the police, because you'll end up talking yourself down a fucking one-way street, and then they bring out that bit of evidence that just contradicts everything you've just said, and then you try and tell another story and this and that, and it's just, there's no point. So what I would always do, like I say, just give a vague recollection of your events, and then just tell them to prove it, basically. Because when it comes to the police cells and the police case and everything like this, it's essentially the two of you in a battle of wits to see who can prove the story is right or wrong. So the police are going to come at you with, and they might not have all the pieces of the story, they might just have bits and pieces of the evidence, they might be barking up the wrong tree, but they're going to try and prove that their story's right, and all you've got to do is just try and prove that your story's right. And then it's down to who the CPS believes at the end of the day. Now, you've probably been sat in a police cell all day, maybe all night. If you've been arrested one night, they might not speak to you again until like tomorrow afternoon. If they've arrested you in the morning, it's normally when they come and smash your door through, they'll normally won't even interview you till about 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, because they'll be out evidence gathering and all that kind of thing. So you're going to be tired and you're going to be pissed off, and you're just going to want to do or say whatever you have to get the fuck out of there. But you've just got to remember, just keep it cool. The police interview is the start of the fun. It's not the end of it. So just give a statement, don't say anything else, and then just wait and see what happens afterwards. Now, like I say, when I was first going through the courts and the prison system and things like that, I'd always try and fight my corner. I'd always be cocky with the police. I remember one time the CID at the end of it, they'd switched off the tape, and I was just laughing because I'd been terrorising them and just sort of being a cocky little knobhead. And they described me as an average build, 20-year-old man with short dark hair with average fucking features. And I was just like, you've just described half the men in my town. Like, what the fuck are you on about? I ended up getting down for it, going down for it. I did do it. But, I was just laughing and joking with them and taking the piss out of them as they were saying these things. And, and the CID woman at the end of it was just like, you're not worried about us, are you? And I really wasn't, at that point. I was being stupid. I was being young and dumb. If I just, as I realised later on, so the last time I got arrested, I did exactly, as I've said with you, I gave a statement which was a vague recollection of where I was on the day and this and that. And it wasn't enough to incriminate myself. They didn't have enough evidence to prosecute me, so I ended up just walking out of the police station that day. So yeah, they had some evidence on me, but not enough. So as long as you don't, dig yourself a hole, some of the times you can just be lucky enough just to get out of there. So, yeah, my best advice: never take the duty solicitor. Always pay for your own one. Never say anything to them. Prepare a statement, and hopefully you'll be out that afternoon. Thank you very much.